Last week, we finally got an official trailer for Assassin's Creed Mirage, the new mainline game taking place in 9th century Baghdad. Unfortunately, we didn't get any gameplay, and so as of now, we do have to take Ubisoft at their word, but they have said that stealth and freerunning are getting an overhaul. While we may not have gotten footage, we did get a few high-resolution screenshots. We see Basim using a smoke bomb that has the same red color as in the CG trailer, a shot of him in combat with both a sword and dagger, and a look at him perched over a would-be target. These are cool, but I found myself more interested in this screenshot of Basim overlooking the city of Baghdad. As a longtime Assassin's Creed fan, there are a ton of different indicators and tells for how traversal could look and possibly change in this game just from this screenshot alone, and I haven't seen people discussing it too much, so I wanted to take some time to glean all the details I could about how traversing Baghdad will function in-game based on only this screenshot. Getting right into it, as expected, viewpoint towers are back. We knew they would be. In the center of the screen is a tower with an obvious perch for synchronization. Towers have been in every game, but in the last few we've got a lot more landmarks like mountains and statues used as sync points, and I imagine in this urban environment it's pretty safe to assume that towers are going to be the primary viewpoints now. We also see this building here with a blue minaret. I cannot tell you whether or not this will also be a sync point. You can't see a traditional perch from here, at least not a visible one from this angle, but that's not required for a sync point. However, in the distance we can see another building that looks like it could be identical, and it is common practice in AC games for towers to be reused as sync points throughout the old school cities. Checking out something a little less obvious, longtime fans will instantly notice the many pulleys that are scattered around the map. They were introduced in Brotherhood and have had a consistent presence even in the newer games as a way to quickly zip up to the rooftops. I am surprised by just how many of them there appear to be in a relatively small area. It really seems like the devs want you to have a variety of ways to ascend quickly and efficiently. Speaking of that, in front of Basim we can also see a water wheel connected to a building. I would be very surprised if this is not a functioning moving water wheel that would give us another method of accessing the rooftops. This would not be a first for the series, but it's not like we see these kinds of things all that often, so it would add a pretty unique flavor to the city of Baghdad if it's not just a one-time thing. We can see on the other side of the building is another water wheel peeking out. It might just be part of the same system as the first one, or maybe we really can expect to see multiple throughout the city. As per the map shown in the developer breakdown of the trailer, there will be many waterways that run through Baghdad from the Tigris River, so we know there will be no shortage of water. We also get some stealth indicators in this image. Throughout the rooftops we can see multiple rooftop hiding places a la AC1 and the Ezio trilogy. These are very distinctive, and notably, there seem to be a ton of them. Chase sequences haven't really been in the series in the last 3 games due to differences in the AI systems, and in reality we haven't had a ton of use for hiding during a chase since AC1 itself. Because there are so many up here, it could be an indication that running and hiding will actually play an important role in the gameplay. As discussed, this has higher implications for enemy AI, as in Valhalla, the previous game, enemies were incapable of losing you even if you found a blend spot. You could only escape by breaking line of sight and running away. We also see a bench in the corner over here. I can't confirm if this will be a blending bench, as a lot of the games have benches that aren't blending benches, they're just there for decoration, but I would be surprised if we didn't have any way to blend with sitting civilians, given how prominently that is featured in the CG trailer. Speaking of rooftops, there are a lot of civilians on the roofs. I mention this only because there isn't a lot of precedent for it. Ubisoft is known for doctoring its photos, so I can't confirm that any of this will stay this way in the final product, but as of now it looks like there will be actual NPC activity on the rooftops. In the past we would only ever have guards up there, and even then we haven't really had that in earnest since the Kenway saga. I don't know if NPCs being on the roof will add anything beyond extra flavor, but it's good to know that they will exist up there. In terms of climbing to the rooftops, we see lots of buildings that give us an idea of how climbing would work. I am interested in what I see because I see a lot of simplicity in the design here. A lot of the buildings have very clear handholds and paths for where Basim would place his hands while climbing. I know people get on the case of the last 3 games a lot when it comes to traversal, but honestly since Unity, it has been a roll of the dice figuring out where exactly your protagonist will put their hands. And it's nice to see that everything is being boiled down to simple paths up and down these buildings. If I had to guess, I would assume Basim cannot climb any of these smooth stone walls and that he actively has to grab the handholds, which is great for people who were upset at the Breath of the Wild style stickiness that the last few games had. Now in terms of horizontal traversal, we do see a few parkour paths that do exceed what we have seen in recent games. On the right side, we see what appears to be a few horizontal posts with a suspended wooden platform that create a path along the side of the building, and close to that we see a pulley that could lead to this rope, which could lead to this ladder, and so on and so forth. Nothing too complex, but definitely more than what we've seen recently. Overall, I cannot comment too much on how paths will be laid out for players and how dense the opportunities for parkour will be, but at least we know it will be more advanced than, Valhalla, given the world design. The world is clearly a lot simpler than Unity's, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. One of the flaws of Unity was just how complex the world was, because of how clear it was that the devs didn't get the time and resources to adapt Arno to such a complex environment, resulting in the inconsistencies that system has. While I hope that complexity is revisited someday in a way that works a little better, for now I'm happy to see what Ubisoft can do with the blockier architecture of a city 900 years before revolutionary Paris. Again, while we see some of the paths for free running, we still don't have a good idea of how Basim will actually move in-game, so we just have to wait and see. Moving on, this one is a bit of a stretch as we don't actually see much here, but it looks like this building right near Basim is open. Pretty much every game in the series has had at least some explorable interiors, and I look forward to seeing how prevalent they are in this one. Again, with the building styles here, we can't expect that many multi-floor interiors like Unity or Syndicate, but we can still hope for era-appropriate interiors that actually do enhance the gameplay. Outside of moving on foot, we do see a camel here, and riding camels was already confirmed in the screenshot of Alamut. It is nice that we will have the ability to ride a mount in the city, and it's really nice that Ubisoft actually believes the city is large enough to necessitate a mount. I've heard claims that this will be a city that rivals Paris and London in size, but again, that's a believe it when I see it type deal. We also see this waterway below Basim, and boats are confirmed for the game. Since there is so much water, I imagine it will be an efficient way to get from point A to point B by following these waterways, and I also imagine we will be able to cross the Tigris itself to reach the part of Baghdad that would exist on the other side. Talking just a little bit about what we are actually seeing in the screenshot at a more macro level instead of fine details, we do get a great view of the round city of Baghdad. We see what I assume is the Palace of the Golden Gate at its center, with the distinctive blue minarets that seem to be a staple of this game's look. The outer wall looks like it will be one long landmark that we can run across, and it looks like it will span a really big portion of the map. We also see that there is a lower and upper level to the wall, and I'm interested in seeing what it looks like from the inside. So overall, that is everything I was able to find from a quick overview of this screenshot. I'm sure I missed stuff, so if you see anything interesting, please let me know in the comments. From what I see here, I'm expecting a world that is much simpler than Paris or London, but with clear opportunities for free running. Now that simplicity could be a sign of dull world design, but it could also be a step in the right direction, providing Basim with a blockier, more gridded environment to seamlessly and stylishly explore. Again, what matters is how it actually feels when we have the controllers in our hands. It might seem silly to go this in-depth into a single screenshot, but I just really love the worlds that the devs create with these games, and I can't wait to see more of this version of Baghdad. Otherwise, that's all I've got. Take care of yourself, and enjoy the rest of your day.